Hey guys, thanks for checking out this episode of the Helix Experience. I have a good friend of mine, Alex Waters, on the show today. Welcome, Alex.
Yo, good to see you, man.
Yeah, likewise. Thanks for jumping on. So Alex is a transformational coach, but I'm not going to absolutely butcher what that is in his introduction for you guys. I'm going to let it come from the horse's mouth. So Alex, if I met you at a dinner party, how would you introduce yourself? Would you even say transformational coach?
No, I'd probably say I'm a coach and speaker, or entrepreneur, coach and speaker. Because when you say transformational coach, it's very vague and broad, and there's probably a lot of people using that title that doesn't really mean much to anyone.
But someone will probably laugh at me like, whatever, mate. Like, surely transformational coach. I've heard that before.
Yeah, exactly. Well, those are usually the skeptics that need the most transformation, but just not willing to admit it yet.
Just a mind bomb there in the first 60 seconds of this. Let that sink in. So, Alex, I was chatting with my partner last night. We were talking about this podcast, and Steph has heard your story before. I think it would be really cool for the listeners or people listening to this podcast, like just to tell us your story, because I know you were in real estate. You were a bit of a party boy, and now you're changing lives in a completely different way. How the fuck does that even happen?
That's such a good question. Yeah, man. Well, like basically, long story short, at the age of 27, I had 3 businesses turning over $2.5 million a year. I had 55 people working for me around the world, in 3 locations in the Philippines and a couple of locations in Australia. And I spent my entire adult life working towards this pinnacle of success, right? Wow, I've done it. I've got millions of dollars coming through. I can say I'm, 7-figure business owner, like da-da-da-da-da. And I looked myself in the mirror and I hated who I saw. Like I just wasn't happy. And that was a huge turning point for me in my life. But if I was to rewind from there and how I got there, I remember, as children, we all develop patterns and strategies and beliefs about who we are and what we need to be in the world in order to receive love and acceptance. And I remember that at 14 years old, my number one passion was playing the trombone. I used to practice 3 hours a day. I thought I was going to go to the West Australian Academy of Performing Arts to study jazz. And at the age of 14, my parents couldn't afford to spend $3,000 on sending me on a school band tour to Tasmania. And that was like the thing that was the most important thing in my life, music. Couldn't afford to go on it. And I remember making a decision at 14 years old that as an adult, I would never go without and my children would never go without. And it was really from that moment onwards, not consciously, but unconsciously, I made money my God. And so everything about my life started to shift towards money. Even at the age of 17, when I was looking forward at my life, do I want to go to uni? Do I want to work? I dropped out of high school, didn't go study music, and I went and started earning money. And I followed a path that would hopefully make me, hundreds of thousands of dollars. And so, man, at 23, I got into real estate. I moved to Karratha, from Sydney to Karratha. And within 6 months, I was the number one selling agent in Karratha. I employed the best real estate coach in the country to call me 5 minutes every single day to hold me accountable to what I was saying I was going to do. I paid him $800 a month for that. And in my first 2 years in real estate, I brought in just over $2 million in gross commission income at, say 24 years old. I got invited to speak on stage at the Australasian Real Estate Conference in front of 4,000 people. And I was suddenly a celebrity in the real estate industry. So at 24, I actually achieved and experienced a lot of what I had wanted to. And, but I was living a life that wasn't really fulfilling to me. I spent all my time in Karratha, and every opportunity I got, I was spending lots of money to get out of Karratha and go somewhere exotic. And I would spend all my money on drugs and alcohol, partying, which, in hindsight, what 24-year-old man wouldn't do that with, so much money? right? So yeah, I just wanted to be a playboy, and that's the lifestyle I lived out.
I was doing that on a much smaller scale, maybe not with $2 million in the pocket, but still just as fun. So were you paying, this is great value, by the way, you were paying someone $800 to call you every 5 minutes?
No, $800 a month to call me for 3 to 5 minutes every day.
Oh, okay, cool. I was
every single day.
Calling you 12 times an hour for $800 every day, 24/7.
No. But just incredible. 3 to 5 minutes every day in the afternoon. It'd be a quick call. Hey, Alex, how you going? Like, what have you gotten done today? How's your calls, connections, appointments going? Like, are you hitting your targets? Like, someone just to keep me laser focused on what's actually really important to me.
Okay. So, upon reflection, what are 3 things looking back at yourself that you wish you had known earlier on this journey?
I wouldn't change anything. But for the context of this question, number 1 is that no amount of money will ever improve or increase your self-worth.
Yeah.
And I wish I knew that, because I put myself through a lot of pain and suffering in the pursuit of money. And ultimately, really all I wanted was love. I just wanted to feel worthy of love. So that's number 1. Number 2 is don't spend everything that you make. That's a good one. Because rules for life. Because I spent a lot of what I made, and kind of looking back at that period, how much money I was making, don't have anything to show for that other than experiences. Life goes on at 30. I think as a young man, I had this perception. I know that a lot of young people have this perception that at 30, you got to have it all together. Society says you got to have a house, kids, a dog, a stable job or career. You've got to have all your goals ticked off. And at 30, I'm 32 now. At 30, I just felt like I was getting started.
I feel like the 20s to 30s is just really like working yourself out and having experiences. And I think from what I hear, a lot of people, I'm 31, they tell me that life starts at 30.
Yeah. It's a learning phase, right?
Yeah, for sure. So we were on a Bali retreat a couple of months ago, and Alex came and presented for the girls that we were with. I unfortunately got COVID for the second time, so I was out for the count, feeling very unwell. So I thought I'd give the Wednesday a miss and let Alex do his magic. So Alex is a transformational coach. I keep using this word, and I hope you don't mind me calling you that. What is transformational coaching, and like, what does it entail?
Yeah. Essentially, we all grow up and we have a conditioned reality of the world and of ourselves. So we believe that the world is a certain way and that we are a certain person based on our external influences, primary being parents, family, secondary being friends, school, things like that, right? And all of that shapes for us what we believe is possible for us and for everyone else. And we just spend our entire life projecting that out into the world. And you hear this all the time, like, I'm just a shy person, so I could never do that. Oh, I'm just not confident like that person is, right? And these are all just limitations and conditioned beliefs that these people have bought into. And I had a ton of those about myself. People don't like me. I'm arrogant. I have to work hard for money, right? All of these sort of belief systems. So transformational coaching is really the practice of and the process of dismantling all of these conditioned belief systems and limitations that people have grown up with or bought into or decided at some point about themselves, and helping them change all of those into paradigms and beliefs that actually support the life that they want to live. Yeah. So in practice, some deeper examples of this are that children who grow up in a household of chaos, parents arguing all the time, maybe there's some, smacking the kids as punishment, things like that. Those same children will usually go out in life to seek out in a romantic partner the exact same dynamic that they grew up with, or the complete opposite. And the exact same might be like a child, a girl growing up into a woman and seeking out a partner who abuses her, who hits her and abuses the children. And it's just a complete chaos. Why would someone do that? It's because that's what is known to them. That's what their conditioned reality of what love means. And therefore, they go out and seek it because it's known and therefore it's safe. And we know that humans seek to have three primary needs met at all times. One is safety, one is approval, and the bottom one is love. And so, transformation coaching, and what I do, I work with people on a range of spectrums. We look at people's trauma. We help people. I help people essentially, just recreate their life and heal from the past so that they can experience the future that they desire.
So this might not be super quantifiable in numbers here, but, like a typical case study of like a client that you've worked with, doesn't have to be a name or anything specific about them. They came to you with X problems and their life now looks like X. Do you have anyone that's had, obviously everyone that works with you has had results, but like a drastic shift in, their life or their success or their business? Like, what does that look like and what kind of happened there?
Yeah. Well, I had a client at the start of the year, at the start of 2022, start coaching with me. She was in a relationship that was abusive. She was unhappy. She was working 60 to 80 hours a week, overworked, overwhelmed, stressed, multi-million dollar business, not happy in her life. We had a total of 6 months of coaching, and she's still in one of my other programs. But after just 6 one-to-one calls with me, she'd exited the relationship, started exiting the business. So, was working through getting a huge payout, stuff like that. Freer in herself, started traveling around Australia, felt happy in her life, and it is actually now in a relationship that she's really happy with. And ultimately just spending her time in a way that feels good to her, is actually allowing herself to feel happy.
I think anyone like that's an entrepreneur can probably, see themselves in that situation in some degree or some manner. And I've seen this commonly among friends as well. As soon as you become successful and you think it's going to be this thing, and it's never this thing which you think it is. And it's like chasing a never-ending, piece of string where you can never find the end. Commonly, why do you think people are so unhappy once they reach their perceived destination?
Yeah. Usually, in the case of high performers and entrepreneurs, they have a belief system of, when I get there, then I'll feel X, happy, fulfilled, peaceful, successful, good enough. And the problem with that in the human brain is that if you are not already practiced in feeling those things, if your neural pathways do not support you in feeling happy, peaceful, fulfilled, good enough, nothing external can actually change your internal neurology like that. Yeah. So people get to these destinations like I did. I have all these businesses. I have all these people working for me. I'm speaking on stages. I'm around, I'm in magazines all around Australia. I'm getting awarded for being such a great real estate agent and business owner. I don't feel happy. Why is that? Because I was choosing to consistently sacrifice my happiness, sacrifice love in the pursuit of a goal that I thought would help me experience it. So one of the main things that I do with high performers and entrepreneurs is get them to visualize what it is that they want in their life. I want to have $1 million. I want to have a successful business. I want to have a great relationship. Great. And how will you feel when you get there? Well, I'll feel happy. I'll feel fulfilled. I'll feel blah, blah, blah. Awesome. Allow yourself just to tap into that right now for a moment. And they do. They visualize it. They tap into it. I'm like, cool. Now, you can experience the feeling in this moment because you just did. So what has you preventing yourself from experiencing that all the time? And usually people are a little bit baffled by that question. And it usually always comes from a place of childhood conditioning, of needing to be the overachiever, to win your parents' love and approval. Your parents didn't show you love and approval unless you were getting A grades at school or winning first or second place in the running race at the athletics carnival. And that was how you got your parents' attention.
Yeah, in school, it's totally off track here, but I used to get a lot of NDs, and I would tell my parents it means nicely done instead of not demonstrated. So,
fuck yeah.
So, Alex, from people you've worked with in regard to success, what are like some of the biggest roadblocks that you see or commonly, that stop them from achieving that next level? I know we've touched on a few of them here, like in terms of childhood trauma or childhood programming, but like what are the main roadblocks in success of people you've worked with, entrepreneurs or people chasing success?
Yeah. I think most humans are afraid of the unknown, which is why most people are simply just following a path that they think they've seen others follow in order to get to a destination that seems familiar. Like if you look on Instagram, you can find 1,000,001 entrepreneurs who have been successful and they've followed XYZ step to get there. Most people get in their own way when it comes to success because they're unconsciously afraid of what will happen once they're there. And I don't know whether you've ever faced this, Tim, but like I experienced this, which was, oh shit, I don't have to work anymore for money. What the fuck do I do now?
Yeah.
What is the point of my existence now? I don't even have a purpose, and because I don't have to work, so what do I do? And we become suddenly overwhelmed by choice. And actually, that's probably the cause of most of our first world problems like anxiety, depression, ADHD, etc., is the overwhelm of choice, the overwhelm of opportunity. People don't know, have so much choice because we're not fighting for survival anymore, have so much choice that they just get overwhelmed by that, and it's too much. So I would say unconsciously, that's the number one roadblock in people's way. And that's probably the roadblock that most people don't actually realize. Yeah. I would say some more common, obvious roadblocks are simple patterns like perfectionism, imposter syndrome, thinking that they need to be different. They need to be a different human in order to experience what they want to experience. I need to be better looking, or I need to be more confident, or I need to not have any fear and no self-doubt. And the reality is you and I both have achieved a certain level of success, and we both experience fears, self-doubt, limitation, shit days, days where we don't think it's going to work, challenges, and it's just persisting in the face of all of that, right?
Yeah, it always works. I was really resonating with your first story there. It's like, what is my purpose once you never really have to work again? I kind of faced that in January with like Steph's business was doing really well. And she was kind of like, you don't really have to work or do anything. And I kind of was like, fuck, I'm 30 years old and I'm redundant. I'm like male nip, like literally pointless. And my business was so systemized that it runs really well. So I'm sitting here just twiddling my thumbs like, should I just be a house dad for the rest of my life and do absolutely nothing? Which is also like a terrible thing. Everyone out there, this is a huge first world problem. If you're listening, you're probably like, that's a fucking great deal, Tim. But honestly, it's the worst thing ever because you have no drive to do, there is no like inherent drive to do anything because you don't need anything. You have everything you could ever want, which is a fantastic thing, but also an awful thing for an entrepreneur like us because, you know, you want that fire under your ass to create something, build something, start something new, like, you know, make something of yourself. So yeah, it was a couple of months of soul searching for me personally. I was thinking, shit, I don't really have to do anything. And my role here is redundant besides being a supportive husband.
So, yeah. We want to feel meaning as humans. And for most of us, we have created meaning based on our survival or based on or random dreams or goals that might not actually mean anything. And we create our meaning focused towards that. And yeah, when we suddenly get to that place of like, fucking what now? It actually is a beautiful space, even if it's challenging, because it opens you up to, great, well, now I want to give back. Now all my needs are met. What can I do and create meaning around that actually helps and supports other people in the world? Yeah.
So, you know, like, I'm just thinking back here, was there like an aha moment or like a light at the end of the tunnel when you were like, this is what I want to do? Like, how did it go from like, I'm a real estate agent, I'm on a journey, you know, to a transformational coach? Like, what was the moment? Like, did you just wake up one day and you were like, I'm going to get a coaching client?
Kind of, but it was a pretty long process. So in 2017, what I didn't mention was during my time as a real estate agent, I was a drug addict. I was an alcoholic. I was addicted to porn, sex, you name it. I was binging on it. I was quite unhealthy, and probably 2017 was my most unhealthy, where I was drinking in incredible amounts of excess. I was traveling a lot, just wasn't in healthy routines. And it was that year that I decided to quit alcohol, and I ended up not drinking for 14 months, which was one of the biggest things that I did in my life. In doing so, I then stopped hanging out with certain people that weren't actually supporting my growth and being good to me. I went to a Tony Robbins seminar, and then I went to a workshop with a man named Preston Smiles and his wife, Alexi Panos. And it was at that workshop that I had a mirror and a light just shone on the parts of me that I was afraid of and I was hiding from. And I remember standing up in front of the room on day 2 and crying about something. And this was huge to me. I was like, holy fuck, I'm crying in front of other people. I probably hadn't even cried myself for like a year or two. And it was just, it felt weird. I felt so raw and vulnerable, but it felt like the right place for me. It felt like I was starting to unlock more of my heart. So from that moment onwards, I spent 6 months coaching with Preston. I started traveling more in a way that was supportive to what I wanted. I found psychedelics. I started doing a lot of work with mushrooms, ayahuasca, LSD, DMT. And that was in 2018. Now, it took me from 2018 to really 2021, so about 3 years of soul searching, selling my businesses. What the fuck am I going to do now? I met someone, fell in love, had a baby in that time as well. I've got a 3-year-old son. His name's Atlas. And then still, I was like, I don't think I want to coach people. But it got to a point where people started asking me for support in that way, in their businesses to start with. So I started helping people in a business coaching sense. And after doing that, I realized that I wanted to go a lot deeper with people, and, you know, we could help them fix the strategy, but once the strategy was fixed, the only thing getting in their way was them. And I wanted to help them go deeper. And so, yeah, it was like late 2021 that I just put out, oh yeah, I'm available for coaching now. And someone reached out to me, and I got a $12,000 client just like that. And then, yeah, that's how it started. So I think the message in that is I just tried lots of different things.
Yeah.
And whatever I tried, I went head first into. And even if it was head first and then 3 months in, don't want to do this anymore. Yeah.
I love it. I have a lot of people reach out to me for advice on, like, they're at crossroads in their life and they're like, what do I do next? I'm really done with X career. I don't really know what to do. And a lot of the times I do give them similar advice to that, is go and try things. I think, like, it's really important that you go and experience things. It's all well and good saying you want to change, but then doing nothing about it, which is very common. So, I'm sure Alex's advice here would be go and try as many things. Probably doesn't have to be LSD and mushrooms, but just working things out. Maybe that might be the gateway to it as well. Maybe that's the secret. Is that the secret, Alex?
I would credit my transformation, my own transformation, to two things. One was working with Preston Smiles, who is an incredible world-class coach, paying $60,000 to be coached by him for 6 months, 1-to-1. Number two is hundreds of mushroom ceremonies and working with psychedelics. Those are the two things that I would credit my growth, and my incredible just desire and determination to expand.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, maybe we do need to get a mushroom ceremony happening here.
Well, I run retreats for that. So,
well, yeah, let's chat about that in the DMs. So, Alex, if I were to come on as a client of yours, curiously here, what would the process of a transformational coaching package look like? How would it kind of work, without giving us too much info, but like just the general nuts and bolts of, transformational coaching package?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's really interesting because most of my clients don't actually know what they're buying when they sign up. And I like to keep it that way because the mind wants to try and control every little step in order to keep you safe. And essentially what we do is we get clear on where this person wants to be, ideally. So we get clear on where you want to be and what you want to change about your life and what you're aware of. Often, a lot of those things aren't even real or true. There's just deeper blocks around all of that. And then I just work to help you create hyper awareness around the unconscious intrinsic patterns that are playing out everywhere in your life and the reasons behind why you've created what you've already created in your life. Because most people actually come to me in a state of disempowerment. They think that like they're ready for a change, but they don't even know how to go about it. They don't even really know what that might feel like. And the greatest gift I would say my coaching gives people is the understanding and the empowerment that you create everything in your reality. You have created everything. You've chosen every single experience that you've had. You've chosen it on some level. You've attracted it. You've been the space for it. You've chosen it. That shitty relationship, the business partner that fucked you over, the money that you lost in investment, you were the space for that. Something about you chose that experience. And when we can understand what's beneath all of that, why I keep playing out the same patterns in my life, that's when we become an absolute master and a weapon in life, because we can actually navigate life and see our patterns and shift them before we make decisions that take us down somewhere we don't want to go.
Okay. So what were the 3 steps in summary?
Creating hyper awareness.
Yep.
About the patterns running your life, running all the decisions in your life. Number 2 is getting clear on what you actually really want to experience. And number 3 is embodying all of that. So if you want to experience more joy, if you want to experience more happiness, actually putting things into practice that creates space for you to feel those things.
Okay, epic. So I've been seeing on your Instagram and your stories and TikToks, there's an event coming up, Permission to be Free. What is it? What does it entail and how does it work? When is it?
Yeah, awesome, man. Well, Permission to be Free Live is a 2-day immersive transformational experience that I've created for pretty much for anyone at any level in their awareness and self-development. It's highly affordable and it's in Perth, November 26th and 27th, 2022. And yeah, basically in this 2 days, we go deep to help people radically unlock their most authentic self-expression. And the reason why that's important, and I believe that's important, is because we don't get what we want in life unless we're being our authentic self. Yep. When we're completely authentic in ourselves and we can speak our truth, we can be free in our movement, we can be free in our decisions, we can authentically ask for what we want, we know how to give and receive, then we can actually have access to the abundance and the blessings that are available to all of us in life.
So if someone wants to come, I have a little special something. DM me for that. Otherwise, how do people get tickets, Alex?
Yeah, man. Well, there's a website. So it's we'll put it in the links somewhere, I'm sure. Yeah. Yeah, you can just or you can DM me on Instagram if you've got any questions about it. But otherwise, just hit the website and grab your ticket.
And then just before we wrap up, I just have a personal question for you, Alex. You're on Current Affair recently. How did that even happen? It
was actually 60 Minutes.
60 Minutes, yeah, for the crypto thing.
A way more reputable program.
Sorry, yeah.
That's all right. Well, this was actually the night that we had dinner in Bali. You know that, right? So I walked out of the restaurant and I had a message on my phone. Hey, it's Cherie Gibson from 60 Minutes Australia. Can you give me a call? We want to talk to you about a story. And I was like, what the fuck? Like, why the fuck is 60 Minutes contacting me? So I thought it was like some fake call or whatever, right? So I call her. She picks up. She's like, hey, Alex, I just saw your TikTok that you lost $150,000 in crypto recently in this lunar crash. And we're wondering if you can be a part of the story for us. We want to fly you to Sydney in 2 days' time. And I was like, holy fuck. So yeah, long story short, I got interviewed on 60 Minutes because I lost 150K Australian in UST and Luna, which is a crypto ecosystem. I think about $50 billion was wiped in one day, and the whole ecosystem crashed and collapsed. So that's not coming back. And yeah, man, it was a pretty cool experience. And the TikTok that I put out was just speaking into the abundance of losing that money. That the way I was dealing with it was to let go of it with peace and understand that there were lessons in that for me and that it was all going to come back at some point. It's just a part of the flow of energy and money. And that, yeah, to feel abundant. If I can let go of that amount with that level of peace, then I know it's coming back to me in multiples.
Inspirational words. So guys, the cost of the show today, if you got one piece of value from Alex or myself on the little tidbits and stories we chucked in here, make sure you share the show, share it with a friend, family member, relative, whoever you'd like to. Any support would be appreciated. And reach out to Alex. Let him know if you have any questions, queries, or concerns. But I look forward to seeing you guys at the Permission to be Free Live coming up on the 26th and 27th of November. Other than that, thanks, Alex. How will people reach you? Just on Instagram or TikTok, as you just mentioned?
Instagram's the best place for sure.
Instagram.
Yeah, at Alexander.